Those days. I remember those days.
Hello, Vinyl community. This is Tommy, and welcome to today's musical adventure. Now, before I get started, I want to warn everybody, there's no records in this video. We're at a historic site. I am standing in Clovis, New Mexico. Behind me is a very historic building to the history of popular music, and I want to show it to you guys. Standing here, as maybe you can see behind me, the sign, Norman Petty Recording Studios, and right here, Norva Jack Music Inc. Yes, this is where Buddy Holly drove over from Lubbock about an hour and a half from here, across the state line into New Mexico, to record here at the Norman Petty Studios. Hopefully I'm going to be able to go inside here and take you guys along and show you what the inside is like. And yeah, so come along to Clovis, New Mexico, Norman Petty's studio. Right outside there's this plaque in the Norman Petty Studios where it talks about how Norman began cutting records. And of course in 1957, this is where Buddy Holly came to record. Historic place. Not only Buddy Holly, but Roy Orbison, Waylon Jennings, Buddy Knox, even LeAnn Rimes have recorded here at the Norman Petty Studios here in Clovis. So I'm standing in the reception at the Norman Petty Studio. Behind me, as you can see, several records on the wall. These are all records that Norman was involved with, just almost frozen in time. Just to stand in this place is just to soak in a lot of history, musical history. I told you I wasn't going to show any records in this video, but as you can see, there are records. We'll get a look around this incredible room in just a moment. Here is the Norman Petty Trio. I can hardly speak. I'm just in so much awe right now. And so many of the records, the Norva Jack label. As you can see here, the X label. Cashbox Award for the Norman Petty Trio in 1954. So many classic records. All right here in Clovis, New Mexico. The old Coke machine. And I know that I'm kind of flapping through here. I'll zero in on that. The choral record, Words of Love by Buddy Holly. Classic song. So many wonderful records. Here is the audition acetate Buddy Holly recorded for Comeback Baby and Reminiscing. What a piece of history. BMI citation for Norman for That'll Be the Day. Probably familiar with that tune. Sheet music for It's So Easy. This is the control room where Norman recorded. That is Buddy Holly's chair, still here. This is a time capsule of a space. Those are the original speakers where the playback was. Of course, more records. So much history in this room. Not just Buddy, but everyone that recorded here. All the hit records. And of course the window into the studio. There's the recording lathe. Just so much to take in. If you're ever in this area, absolutely make a point, because this is how it all was. So imagine being in here for the history of So many hit recordings, so many classic recordings. And of course, like I said, the desk. Norman built this desk, and here it sits. And you think about the recordings made here, they all had a very timeless quality. They still sound fresh. So they knew what they were doing. And so, fantastic. Fantastic space. This is the recording studio. The Hammond B3 traveled the world. The Fireballs, who recorded here, the bass. This Baldwin piano is the one you hear on Buddy Holly's records. So when you hear a Baldwin piano on the records Buddy made here, of course that goes without saying, this is the Celeste that recorded every day. I will spare you guys hearing me play a custom-made guitar for Mr. Roy Broad, who's been kind enough to take me on this tour. Here is a Fender Stratocaster, much like the one Buddy played. This is a Squire. Here is an amp that was taken on some of those early tours, Fender amp. And that guitar was made by Sonny West. So this is what you hear when you hear the song Sugar Shack, the hit song, the famous line, as played by Norman Petty. But yes, this is the room where everything was. I'm touching the curved wall here. The baffles, soundproofing. Absolutely incredible. Here's the area coming into, there's the Grand Marshal of the parade. Some of the folks that have recorded here, you'll recognize quite a few, I'm sure. There's the Champs with our buddy Glenn Campbell, the great Glenn Campbell. There's old Waylon, as we call him now, Bobby Fuller, Sonny West. This is the kitchen and dining area. Pretty much the same. Those are the original drapes from the 50s. Still here. There's a picture, of course, of Vi Petty. And yeah, there's the drapes, as you can see in the photo. Still original. This is where the guys would come, have breakfast, and hang out. And Buddy would sit right there in that chair and have a meal. So imagine the great Buddy Holly hanging out right back here. It's amazing how well preserved this building and these rooms are. This is the apartment here where Buddy and the guys would stay when they would come over to record some of the famous recordings here. And of course a little living area. They would come back here, relax, hang out, visit, take a break. Norman didn't want the guys kind of going away. They could stay here and be comfortable. And so, and of course there's a picture of Buddy and the guys. You see the heating unit right there. Of course the couch, as you can see in the photo, there's the shelves. So the room is very, very, very preserved here and incredible. Pull-out beds. You can pull out, like I said, Buddy and the guys would stay here, spend the night. This is the Foxy Drive-In, where Mr. Broad, Kenneth Broad, told me Buddy and the guys would come get taqueras and breakfast as they were in the studio. The studio is just up the street that direction, a few blocks away, here in Clovis. But I wanted to share that with you guys, the Foxy Drive-In. Also, frozen in time. So I hope you guys enjoyed this trip to Clovis. It was great sharing it with you guys. This is what Tommy's musical adventures are all about, is taking you to places like Norman Petty Studio. I am completely blown away. If you're ever in this area, you should absolutely go. It was such an amazing experience to stand in that room, to walk through that part of musical history. It was just a total mind blow for me. To sit in Buddy Holly's chair, I'm just blown away. So I hope you guys enjoyed the adventure. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share the video, do whatever you want to do. I'm just glad to take you guys along for this. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.